Welcome to Echo Golf Hotel India. We're going to be taking a flight today to Echo Golf Juliet Juliet, Southampton to Jersey. It's about a 55 mile or 55 minute flight across the English Channel, and we will be taking that flight in the Saab 340. This is a standard flight for Flybe. Normally the aircraft on this route would be the Dash 8. I'm not a big fan of version 1 of the Dash 8, and so we're going to be taking the Saab 340, which normally, as I understand it, is used in Scotland. And of course we'll be using track IO as much as possible on this flight, as you might be able to tell. So the first thing that we're going to do is get the aircraft started. And as we look, looking for left and right AC generators on, which they are. Left and right avionics are off, essential avionic off, bus tie is set to auto, left and right generators are off, temperature control we will set. If I can manipulate the view. Still getting used to using track IO again after not using it so much for a while. And what is next? Left and right batteries on. Bus tie connected light is on. Then in fact let's look at the CWP. You can see we've got a couple of warnings, like left and right engine oil pressure, and a bunch of cautions, all to be expected. So we'll silence those, and left gear handle is down. And if we can check it from here, and press the button, it's actually going to work in this. Let's just use the and there you go, it is indeed working. And looking at hydraulic pressure, left and right brake accumulators are in the green, essential avionic on, main inverter on. And with essential avionic on we have radios. I'm not going to use the radios, I'm not going to get the weather. I'm going to be as basic as is possible on this flight. That is the pre-flight checklist done. So now we move on to the before engine start checklist. Crossfeed is off, bleeds reset auto, figure out where we are. HP valves closed. HP valves are delivering. Let me close that down again. In fact, the first thing we needed to do really is get all the everything off, apart from the nose wheel chocks. So yes, HP is high pressure bleed air from the, I think it's the 6 compressor stage. Cabin signs on. And radar transponder standby. Find the radar. And transponder is, I believe, in a standby position. It's really difficult to spot that. Is that on standby? Believe it is. Power levers are at ground idle. Just get the controller set up in the correct position for that Can't find the that's it, I believe. Yeah. I'm actually going to use the mouse for condition levers rather than a control axis. So that done, ground idle, right condition lever start. Get into the detent and if I can hold on to the switch, and you can see ITT rises, NG starting to rise. It will cut out at 50% NG, NP starting to rise. Right ignition light is off, and at this point we're just waiting for the engine instruments to stabilize. Now, I've never seen a Saab 340 start with the left engine, so I'll always start it with the, I will always start the right engine first. And that was pretty stable. Right, generator reset on. And left and right avionic on. Just let them go through their initialization. Bleeds we're going to leave off. Where are we for temperature? That's pretty low, 10 Celsius. Unfortunately, we don't have external air conditioning modelled. So we're just waiting for the avionics to initialize. You may have noticed I'm not using the ground power unit, and that is because it's not really necessary. If we're going to simulate a full proper ground start, then we would really need to use the external AC power, air conditioning power. Now that they're initialized, we'll turn them off. If I can hit the switch. Left condition starts. Have I moved that totally too far forward? Oh no, I was looking at the wrong thing. That's the problem with changing the view type. And left start. Flap should be right forward in the 0 position. So now same thing with the left engine. ITT rises, NG rises, and NP rises. Again, we're looking for engines to stabilize. Slowly reaching that point. Plenty of fuel. And that was pretty stable, so nav on. Did I not turn the beacon on? That was a mistake. Left gen reset on. And again, blades and HP will remain off. And we get to after engine start, hydraulics checked. Again, everything's in the green, as we would expect it to be. Standby pitot on. Gas protection should be fine for that. Auto Corson on. Air conditioning panel, where are we now? It's coming up to 20, about 18. Reset fans. Leave them as they are for now, left and right avionic. Turn them back on. Ready to go straight away. Bus tie is off. Emergency lights armed. Trims. A bit of nose up trim. Okay, let's start setting the aircraft up. Get into navigation. Let's wait for the going to start. For some reason I can't pop it out. There you go. Finally, let's just clear the flight plan. Okay, let's enter our waypoints. There's no SID, there's no departure for Southampton, so I'll just use the needle waypoint, for want of a better word. And of course we'll set our destination. And we will also set, let's stabilize this view. We'll set the star, which will be Juliet Whiskey 1 X-ray for runway 08. And we will also set the approach, which will be ILS 08. For some reason ILS 26 doesn't have a glide slope, which it should do, but it just doesn't. Juliet Whiskey 1, and for the moment we'll just load it. And that is our flight plan. We need to be at 20,000 feet by Lelna. Not sure if we'll make that, but we'll do our best. Not going to set CDI for now. Let's. Am I going to try to set this using the difficult view? Here you go. You can actually use scroll wheel. The scroll wheel is a little bit frustrating. Some controls use it and some controls don't. Kind of easy to forget which one is which. Heading of 200. We want a course of 217. And I will explain what we're going to do. Let's just set up the autopilot. We're taking off using heading mode, and then we're going to use climb mode, and we're going to use the low speed climb, 141 knots. We're going up to 21,000 feet, so I think we're on 113.35 for nav. Just double check everything here. 103.35, and what that's going to do is we have a noise abatement restriction at Southampton. What that means is that we're going to fly a runway heading to 500 feet, and then we're going to try to get onto the 217 radial from Southampton VOR. We probably won't hit that, but we'll do our best, and then at 2,000 feet then we will resume on navigation and we'll fly down to Nado. At least that's the plan. I keep thinking I've missed something. Heading, climb mode, altitude set, course set, heading is set. We've got everything. So I haven't forgotten anything. And that's after engine start. So before taxiing, remove the nose wheel chokes and find the right window to click. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to bring up the throttle quadrant. Explain that in a second. External light set. Set the taxi light. Power levers ground idle, condition levers minimum. Let's skip straight over the unfeathered position. That is a transit position, and again just wait for the engines to stabilize. See, the reason I put up the throttle quadrant is it's a lot easier to look at that than to figure out your position by looking at the levers themselves. I typically use the throttle quadrant on taxi and takeoff, and also on approach and taxi to shutdown. Hopefully the usefulness of that will become known. As you can see, the warning light is for air conditioning at the moment. Parking brake on, obviously we have the parking brake on for obvious reasons. And we have stable engines. So at that point, if I can figure out the view, take it up to the maximum position. Beta lights are on. That indicates that we're in the beta range for power. And ice protection is as recorded was the temperature, 9 Celsius. And that is before taxiing completed. Moving on to taxiing, steering wheel push. Steering wheel is this odd looking thing here. Normally in the real world aircraft that is used to steer the aircraft on the ground, which is why it's called a steering wheel. In the simulated aircraft, pushing it down enables nose wheel steering, which is obviously very important. And that is us done. At this point, let's just position the throttle quadrant down to the bottom left hand corner. Parking brake light is off. Give us a little bit of power, don't want too much. 21, 22, that's good. Just want to get straight here. Looking for a maximum of about 15 knots ground speed, which you can see on the EHSI. Just test the brakes. Brakes are working. Having lots of problems with the rudder pedals, so especially on approach. So hopefully I won't get any issues with those. So we're looking for runway 20 to depart to the south. Ground speed of 4 knots, we just push it up a little bit. Take it up to 24 degrees. I'm currently not using X-Enviro. Really waiting for the update after 11.3 finalizes. Whenever that will be. The only real issue that I've had with X-Enviro is that the turbulence effects are a little bit strong, and you can't, because of a bug in X-Enviro, you can't turn that off or turn that down. It's about as quick as I want to be going making this turn. As you can see, we're still under 10 knots. Let's get straightened out before we do anything more. External lights set. We'll get onto the second. Air conditioning. It's fine for now. Bleed valves, HP valves. We'll stick with them in their current positions. Flight controls check. Flight instrument radios check. Right, well, we're just hurtling along. Just check something, which I should have checked before we started actually. 3024. So altimeter 3024. Here you go. Again, I'm not using the radios. Not getting the weather. Just want to keep it simple for this flight. Altimeter check. Takeoff. Inhibit. Flaps 15. That's 15. Close to. Let's just set a C-tail. C-tot. And that will give us a constant torque on takeoff. If I can actually, I think that's it. It's so dark down there, it's really difficult to spot it. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the runway. Strobes on, the taxi off. Down a little bit for this part to make the turn. Unless I'm mistaken, we're ready to go. We're going to make a rolling start. Just get lined up. 200. And it should actually a little bit off there, but let's go for it. And watch that torque jump to 108, and off we go. Drifting left, airspeed is alive. Just going to keep it straight as much as possible. My controls. And rotate. Gear up. Keep it straight. A lot of movement. Slowly, hopefully, try to decrease CTOTs and disarm. And now we're looking for 2000 on 217 on the 217 radio for 2000 and bringing up power to climb to climb power. And let's switch to GPS. And we are up in the air. Turn the torque. Pop up off. And now let's actually continue through the checklist, the climb checklist. CWP check, we have to deal with air conditioning. Autocross is off. HB valves reset auto. And just bring down the ground and blades create the switch. Prop sync on. Climb is good. Altimeter is set. Stem light set. It's level at 10,000 feet. And we're at cruise power. So there you go. We almost definitely airborne. And we have the Isle of Wights. So at this point we have clearly taken off and now in the climb to 21,000 feet you can see airspeed is around 141 as indicated. We're climbing to 200,000 feet. You can see where we are here. So 56 miles to go to Lelna. Need to be down at 2,000 feet for Juliet Whiskey, which is 113 miles away. We need to start that descent at 57 miles. And descent rate will depend on ground speed, which currently is 155. I might actually just take it at the recommended descent rate of 2000 FPM, just to make sure that we are down quick enough by the time we get to Juliet Whiskey. I don't want to be struggling for descent and being too fast at that point. The thing we're really looking at here is, can we get to Lelna before, or can we be at 20,000 feet by the time we reach Lelna? Looking at the overhead, if I can get a decent view of it. Everything looks good. So actually while we're here, just switch this. So switch to the ILS for runway 08. Look at the map, get a zoomed out view. You can see we took off on runway heading, turned right to meet the 217 radial, and then slightly left for Nadal. Everything's as it should be. Props. We'll pull those back at cruise. Just get this down to again. It needs to be 292. There you go. And landing lights off. Just a quick word about the Saab 340. It is, I think, along with the TBM 900, the best, certainly the best turboprop that I've seen. It's, I think it's definitely a startup, or should I say, a study level aircraft. I'd certainly recommend it if you were looking for a more complex aircraft. Something like the Coronado PC-12 is a good aircraft if you don't want that level of complexity. You can fly the 340 as long as you follow proper procedures and aren't ridiculously sloppy with it. It's a straightforward aircraft to fly, but a PC-12 with one engine without an awful lot of depth in the systems, that is, at least on paper, a simpler aircraft to fly. Saab 340 is simple enough. Obviously there was a little bit more work in starting the aircraft because you have two engines to start instead of one, but even then it's not really a difficult aircraft to fly. The TBM 900 I think requires more effort, more time on it because its condition is persistent. What's the temperature? -15. Out. No reason for ice protection, no clouds. So if you're looking at progression, I would say stock Cessna 172 with the Reality expansion pack. I'd recommend the Coronado Beach Baron with the Reality expansion pack over the stock Baron, for the simple reason that the Coronado just looks a lot better. I know that Laminar are supposed to be updating the stock Baron, but I've no idea when that's going to be available. But those are the two prop aircraft that I would recommend in terms of initial progression. Above that, I'd like to recommend a single engine turboprop, that being the TBM 900. I'm just wondering if that it's going to be easier to manage the Saab 340 over the TBM 900. I don't know personally because I don't have the TBM 900, but from what I've seen, that's going to require quite a bit more time and effort and understanding of how the aircraft works. But I definitely recommend those four aircraft. The PC-12, if you are looking for something simpler, still a good aircraft. I still like it a lot. It's just it doesn't have that study level, and that's not a criticism of Coronado. That's just how they work, and the aircraft that they develop really good looking, really attractive aircraft that just don't have that system depth. You're never going to get a Coronado aircraft that is study level. that's just not the business they're in. They're in the business of turning out really good looking aircraft that fly somewhat like the real aircraft. Again, it's not a criticism, it's just an observation, it's just the business that they're in. Almost at 16,000 feet. Still got a good climb performance, just under 1,000 feet per minute. How close are we to Lelna? We should make it in time. I think it is important to have that kind of progression. I know a lot of people tend to go straight to things like the 737 or the A320, but I would always recommend people that are new to flight simming to get into the smaller prop aircraft. Everything happens much slowly and you've got more time to think about what you're doing. You've got more time to think about the charts and how they work and what they're asking you to do, so that when you move up to the faster aircraft you have a greater understanding of what you're doing. It's easy just to enter information into systems. It's easy just to press buttons and flip switches, but at the end of the day you have to ask yourself, how much actual understanding of the aircraft do you have? Purring away. And if you've come through aircraft like the Cessna 172 through the also through the Beech Baron, well, what the Beech Baron is going to do is it's going to give you another engine. It's going to just give you a little bit more complexity. Then you go to the single engine turboprop and you start learning how turboprops work, then the larger twin turboprops, and then you're in a position where you can step up to either something like a business jet or something like the 737. But when you arrive there you have a more thorough understanding of what you're doing. And I think a lot of people also can get overawed. They'll get to a 737 and it's a lot to handle. There's a lot of things to deal with, a lot of stuff to keep on top of, and that can be a bit overawing. Whereas if you've gone through the transition, you should be familiar with everything that's going on around you. You know exactly what you're doing when you switch on the battery. You know exactly what that's doing with the aircraft, because you followed the same procedures essentially from the Cessna 172 onwards. There will be additional things that you have to learn about, but you will have the foundation set. Everything is as it should be. Should really reset the totalizer for the fuel. Turn on the weather radar, although increase the range. There's nothing really to be seen. We don't have any clouds. It's pretty straightforward. Minus 25C. Coming up to 19,000, dropping down still. Just over 600 feet per minute climb. We're not actually going to be at 21,000 feet for too long, as you can probably guess. 81 miles from Juliet Whiskey. We are now firmly over the channel. have to say I'm looking forward to when X-Enviro does release it. Is it 1.1? The stock clouds have actually improved a lot since release. Since release they were pretty terrible, but they're a lot more solid now, but they're still not as good as the X-Enviro clouds, and it will be good to have X-Enviro back when it releases for 11.3. There's no guessing when that will be. That really depends on when 11.3 finalises, and then the X-Enviro team then need to finalise 1.1. But it would be very good to have that back. Just coming to 20,000. So we are at our height restriction. 1,000 feet short. And just bring the condition levers down to cruise power to about 1330 when we reach cruise altitude. So we have no wind. Just trying to keep this as simple as possible. I've had a lot of problems landing this aircraft, and it's really down to the rudder pedals. Just spiking values. I think spiking values left. Actually, yesterday I did my first straight down the middle butter landing, and that was after hopefully sorting out the rudder pedals. I have noticed for some reason X-Plane has a difficulty keeping everything in calibration. It seems like I have to calibrate every time I start X-Plane. Coming up to 21,000 feet, and you may hear some background noise of my Sidewinder force feedback stick, which has decided to make a lot of noise today. So that could be a rather significant and unfortunate fault. 21,000 feet. I do like to have force feedback. I think that gives me a lot. So it would be a shame if I end up losing that. So let's bring the back down. Back in my right spot. It's close to 1330. A tiny bit more. Close to it. So now we're in cruise. Let's be nice to the passengers, and hopefully I can remember to turn those back on. So at that point, 10 miles short of the descent, so we'll stick with it. 57 is going to come up pretty quickly. At that point we'll start a rapid descent. We'll descend at the descent speed low, which is 220 knots at the recommended descent rate of 2,000 feet per minute. We'll see how quickly we get down there. Ground speed of 220. So that would give us a descent rate of 1,100 FPM, but I'm going to go 2,000. Actually I want to come up short just to make things a little bit easier. while we're here. Let's get some information on Jersey. 3024, 276 feet. Can I possibly, I'm going to have to use that. Can I possibly, I don't think that's going to work either. If I can find a view. Oh, that's not going to work, is it really? Just the view forward. Hopefully before we get to 57 miles. And just in time, we're closing on 57. So 2,000 feet. Let's start getting down. Feet. The throttle quadrant. No, that's the wrong one, clearly. There you go, throttle quadrant. So looking for 220, let's just pull that back. How quickly are we accelerating? So we're on a 2,000 feet descent, so don't want to go above 220. Let's get seatbelts on. See if that torque setting holds. Just come up and speed a little bit too much here. So you go down to 70 degrees, see if that holds. Is it decreasing or is it staying about the same? Take it out to 65. Get that under control. Looks like it's decreasing again. Let's have another look at the map. So as you can see, coming to Jersey, Juliet Whiskey. Fair way to go, yeah. Speed is just about holding, but it's still a bit too quick. Let's just bring it down a little bit to 60. Let's take it down to 63 and see if that brings it down about 220. That's still not coming down. Get down to 60. Get down to 220. It's not massively above it, but it's above where we should be. We're 42 miles away from Juliet Whiskey. 2,000 feet per minute descent set. Just if I can use this moment to to the runway heading. Just above 220. Drop it down again. I just not think we're getting close to that. Still staying stubbornly above 220. 36 miles out. If something goes badly wrong, we should be fine for that. What's the cabin temperature looking like? It's about right, it's about 22. No need to make any adjustments on that. See, props are in the green, everything's in the green. And we have 32 miles to get down to 2,000 feet. Still a little bit too quick. Seems absolutely stuck on that. We're gonna have 55 degrees. Still sticking to about 225. It's closing on 220. Let's change the altimeter 3024. So it's going to be a little bit more busy when, or a little busier when I add ATC into this, and that will almost certainly be pilot to ATC. I was hoping the stock ATC would be improved, but it's kind of been improved, but just in presentational terms, the actual ATC side of it. I actually should test it out a little bit, but from previous experience it wasn't all that good. It just seems that presentationally wise it's improved a bit. Closing on 2,000, that should be fine. 25 miles out. Still stubbornly above 220. It absolutely does not want to go to 220. Hopefully that should do it. Okay, we've got a ground speed of 243, 242. Close to Juliet Whiskey, then we'll activate the approach. So wait till we get a little bit closer before activating the approach. Switch back. JW is still 20 miles away. We'll probably wait till we get about 10,000 miles till we get about 10 miles away. Finally we've hit 220. Okay, so we are pretty much done for the descent checklist. We get to landing, auto coursing on, hydraulics check, prop sync off, condition levers maximum, de-ice boots off, and then below 200 knots, landing gear extend. passing 4,000 feet. 17.5 miles to Juliet Whiskey. So it's pretty much on schedule. And 1,000 miles, 1,000 feet to go. Pretty much on cue, a little bit fast during the descent, still creeping up. Okay, that speed is going to start bleeding off now. I want to get below 200 knots. And closing on Juliet Whiskey. Power back up a little bit to 60 degrees. See what that gives us. Okay, we are. Let's activate the approach. Flight plan back up. Start getting this prepared. Auto cushion on, hydraulics checked. Spot them, pretty good. Pop sync off. Condition levers are set to maximum. And we're fine to start getting everything together. Slowed down a little bit more. A little bit quick here. Let's get down to 140. A little bit of flapping to slow us down. Got a tight turn coming up, so we need to be slow for that. Seven degrees of flaps out. We're at, well, coming to 130 knots. So flaps 15 at 175 as well. A little bit of time for that. But I should be fine to make this. See, we've got runway 08 dead ahead. And we're coming up to the right turn. It's like 120, but I want to make sure that we're actually going to be able to make this turn, because it is quite a sharp turn to the right. have 7 degrees of flaps out at this time. Let's get the landing lights on in case I forget later, which is always a possibility. I'm coming up to, just queuing up the right turn. I'm very careful with the airspeed. It's a sharp turn. .5 miles to Juliet Whiskey. What's the second Juliet Whiskey? We should be fine for that. It's a little bit slow. A little bit of power. A little bit more flap. So flaps 15. We will be going flaps 35 for landing. Still a fair bit to go in this approach procedure. We are generally set up as we need to be. I don't think there's anything else we're missing at this point. Fine, let's just did I never take well, that's why I never saw weather, because I didn't take the weather mode out of standby. Rather basic error, but you wouldn't have been able to see it. The display wouldn't have changed anyway, regardless. Okay, 4.2 miles. Start to get more flaps in shortly. I'm just really hoping that the rudder pedals are not going to give me issues on approach. If the aircraft tends to have a lot of lateral movement, then you'll know that there's something wrong with the rudder pedals. Coming up to another right turn. Airspeed is 130, which is pretty good, it's acceptable. Coming to 2 miles. And just prior to the turn I will extend 20 degrees of flaps. So 20 degrees of flaps. And about to make one more right turn. Problem that you're going to see on the approaches, or actually at the landing phase, is it's very difficult to find a flight idle position on an axis, so I may end up going even beyond ground idle into reverse. So obviously you can't feel the detent position. It's a little bit difficult even to look at the throttle quadrant when you're in the landing phase. Making that right turn. Speed is good, just above 120. Coming on to the final fix. Let's get straightened up and then we'll take 35 degrees of flaps, flaps 35. Getting a bit gloomy. Make a difference? Not really. So it's still about 120. Looking for an approach speed of about 115 to 120. Okay, we applied slope indication. When that starts to descend, we will extend full flaps and engage approach mode. There we have the runway again. One, 2, 0 knots. Glide slope starting to descend. Just wait for one dot. And full flaps and approach mode. Now we just have to watch that airspeed as we start to descend. See, vertical speed is alive. That's about 600 fpm. Speed is climb. We'll just back off a little bit, back to 60. Just try to keep that under control. Looking for 800 feet. I'm going to have a little bit of a pop-up when I disengage autopilot, unfortunately, because I've got two controls bound to the same button. As you will see, what is it? XP Realistic Pro. It will all become clear. So that looks good for 120. Back off a little bit more. Gear is down and locked. Full flaps. Hopefully controls will behave themselves. Back up a fraction. A lot of stick noise you might be able to pick up, which is distracting. And there's you pop up a little bit of a pull to the left. Try and keep it straight. One bit right there. High. A little bit to the left now. I can get onto the centre line as much as possible. This is not really good. It's just the gear. do the best we can. Out back. A little bit off centre line. Not the worst landing ever, but not the best. Let's get the airspeed down, or the ground speed down. That's about 24. I'll find 24. I'll stick with 23. So yeah, a little bit of lateral movement, a little bit distracted by a stick going crazy. Not to use that as an excuse. The big problem you have with this aircraft, actually, and I should have mentioned this earlier, it's not possible to practice landings. You can't just set up an approach as you can with other aircraft, which is... This is the only practice that you get, basically, unless you're setting kind of a stop and go scenario up. So every landing is a bit of practice. 10 knots ground speed, which is perfectly fine. Could do it a little bit quicker, but we're not in a hurry to go off the runway. Start to clean the aircraft up. The flaps up. Taxi light on. Stand my Peter off. Just going to find a basic parking spot here. We're not going to do anything too adventurous. So at the moment, let's just see if we can keep a straight line. That ice protection car, turned that off. That's the reason for the caution. And yeah, this is actually stock airport, so any scenery that you see is a bonus. Southampton is pay aware. For stock it looks really good. I just hope that in time we're going to get ground traffic and ATC properly synced up. For me, that is the big thing that's missing at the moment with X-Plane. A lot of really good advancements in various areas, but it would be nice to have all that tied together. Something that of course we had out of the box with FSX. Am I completely lost here? I think we're just round this corner. Yeah, here we are. Aside from that less than perfect landing, I think it was a decent flight. And a very interesting aircraft, and I hope you agree on that. I hope you agree on the quality of the aircraft and how interesting it is to fly the aircraft. And let's just pull up here with a reverse, ground idle. Set the parking brake. So let's just go through the, for the sake of completion, let's go through this. Parking brake is set, engine anti-ice is off, external lights set. Well, let's get this strobe off for one thing, no nerve off. Taxi can go off as well. Cabin signs off. Emergency lights off. Avionics set. Power lever ground idle. Condition lever start. Let's go in reverse order. Ground lever starts. Bleed valve closed. HP valve closed. Generator off. Off position. Condition lever fuel off. Pull it all the way down to the bottom. There you go. Let's, you can see the propeller just slowing down in a very pleasing way. And repeat for the second engine. So condition lever down to, oh, too far, start. Bleed valve closed. Generator off. Condition lever. Fuel off. Is under the left engine oil pressure. Within the right position, they are indeed. Not quite sure why I'm getting left but not right. Anyway, batteries off. Let's just look at the yeah, everything's as it needs to be. Left battery off, right battery off, dome is off. Let's have a quick look. There you go. Engine is just about done. So that is it. That is a complete flight in the Saab 340. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope that illustrated the procedures generally to go through with the aircraft and how the whole thing works. And yeah, hope you're as impressed with the Saab 340 as I am. It's a great aircraft. Highly recommended if you're looking for a study level turboprop. And hope to see you again for the next flight. And as always, feel free to like, comment and subscribe.